It's been shown in some studies that up to 92% of people with chronic fatigue syndrome have some kind of gut health issue, often termed as IBS, which is really a catch-all because no one exactly knows what it is, and it can show up with all sorts of different symptoms. But generally, let's say disturbed gut health. So how are they actually connected? Obviously, there's the level of the microbiome. So if your community of bacteria in your gut are not thriving, are not well balanced, that's going to impact your whole system, everything from the speed at which you heal to your levels of anxiety. And you might notice, if you've ever tried taking probiotics, that they can massively affect your mood in a very short space of time. But why might the microbiome be dysregulated in the first place? One pattern that I almost always see in my clients is a dysregulated nervous system. It's high levels of anxiety. Often that correlates with a kind of type A personality, the type of people who always have to get things right, who really push themselves hard. It can also correlate very strongly with a kind of people-pleasing personality. So people who always defer to others, who say yes when they really want to say no, who swallow down their anger rather than showing it. And anger is an absolutely huge one for CFS and IBS. If you aren't able to show anger at other people, it's often very tightly correlated. So how exactly does this happen? Well, the more you do this, the more your system starts to go into a state of fight or flight. And the longer you stay in that state, the less digestion is prioritized. Unfortunately, because of evolution, digestion is seen as somewhat of an optional extra when the choice is survive or digest, which perhaps is a good thing if you're being chased by a tiger. But in the modern context, it can often lead to gut health issues. Now, a dysregulated nervous system can also lead to fatigue. One similarity in terms of the nervous system between IBS and chronic fatigue is that what you're really showing is a hypersensitivity to stimulus. In terms of IBS, is often food or stress. In terms of CFS, is often exertion or stress. So depending on how you feel, your symptoms might flare up, and that could be feeling absolutely exhausted, or it could be diarrhea, or it could be constipation, or pain, or bloating, or any of the above. So they are deeply, deeply entwined, the two conditions. But if you really check in with yourself and see how you feel, you might really identify with that personality of the high achiever, of that type A person, or of that people pleaser who's always deferring to others. And if that resonates, and maybe there's always been a feeling of not being quite right in life, not being quite balanced, always trying to take the next step to really find what you're looking for and feel okay. If that resonates with you, this is a pattern I see in so many of my clients. And CFS, IBS, really, it doesn't matter when it comes to the level of the nervous system. The job is to regulate. What does regulating look like? It looks like uncovering the beliefs which influence your decisions on a day-to-day basis. So if on a day-to-day basis, when a stressful event occurs, and that can be getting a bit stressed about food, like a certain type of food maybe, or it could be being stressed around a family member. When that occurs, if you swallow those emotions down, hold them in, feel that tension all around your body, that generally has to come out somehow. And in order to protect you, your body might just shut you down, make you really tired. Or in order to protect you from food, which feels dangerous, it might flush that food through a little bit too fast and give you diarrhea. Or it might deprioritize digestion completely and give you constipation because it's focusing all of your blood flow, all of your focus on your muscles because it wants you to be able to run away because you're in fight or flight. So if any of this resonates and makes sense to you, which I really hope it does, because I see this working literally on a daily basis, click the link below and we can talk about a way of getting out of this which has no side effects, no medication, and takes the express superhighway, shall we say, into your nervous system, into your unconscious mind to help balance things, help you feel safe in the world, and you'll start seeing the effects very, very quickly. Your gut doesn't take long to respond. Your energy levels often do not take long to respond. Yeah. So if that feels right, if that sounds logical to you, click the link below. Thank you.